Missouri Board of Aldermen shall come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Morse.
Present.
Price.
Present.
Wilson.
Present. Here.
Neal.
Present.
Ross.
Here.
Raines.
Here. Saxon.
Here.
The 8 present, there's a quorum. Please join all of us and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, I'm entertaining a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. We have adopted the agenda. I am entertaining a motion to approve the minutes. I presume that you have read them. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 24th, 2025 regular session and executive session?
Make a motion to approve those minutes.
In favor?
Aye.
We have approved the minutes of the June 24th, 2025 regular and executive session. We will move on to the next agenda item of bills and financial reports. Mr. Relaford, are you up, sir?
No. This is just normal business, bills and financials. We just need a motion.
Okay, do we need, I would assume that we have looked over the numbers, or at least kind of glanced over them. I'm entertaining a motion to accept the bills and financials reports.
I move we pay our bills. Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
We have approved the bills and financials reports. Next, the appointments that we are wanting to recognize Tracy Mason as a Missouri Registered City Clerk certification. Do you want to come forward and make that presentation, please? And introduce yourself, please.
Good evening, Mayor Stevens and Aldermen. My name is Kami Kulo, and I'm the City Clerk for the City of Aurora, Missouri. I serve on the Public Relations Committee for the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association. I'm here to recognize your City Clerk, Tracy Mason, for achieving the designation of Missouri Registered City Clerk from the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association. This certification requires hours of education and experience, and Tracy has persevered in achieving this goal. The Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association is made up of over 600 clerks and is dedicated to the education of the city clerks and finance officers throughout Missouri. With changing state statutes and rules governing cities, it is vital that clerks are current on those changes and regulations. MOCCFOA continues to strive to ensure that education is provided relevant to the needs and the position of a city clerk. We also want to thank you as elected officials for supporting Tracy and working towards her certification, as it shows you recognize the knowledge she receives in reaching this milestone is of great benefit to you, other city staff, and your citizens. In addition to serving as a city clerk, Tracy also currently serves on multiple committees with the Southwest Division of the MOCCFOA. She was the chairman of the Historian Committee on the Education and Scholarship Committees from 2024 to 2025. On behalf of the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association and Public Relations Committee, along with your friends and peers in the Southwest Division, I would like to present Tracy with a certificate of appreciation.
There we go. That's all right.
Thank you.
Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Job, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. That well deserved because of the wonderful job she already has been doing for our city and for hers. Chief. All right. We have I think there's a promotion for Corporal Jordan Nelson, and I think part of the process or the ceremony has already taken place, but we want to do this in front of the world and all, and I've put it back in your hands, sir.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just pleased as can be to be able to come up and announce that we have had a promotion at the police department. Officer Jordan Nelson started with the police department in 2022. He spent about a year and a half with us, And there was a short stint of time, about 5 months, where he tried out for Greene County Sheriff's Office. He worked for them for about 5 months, and he missed Bolivar because Bolivar PD is where it's at. And he is back to Bolivar PD and Bolivar PD for life, as he would say. During the time of him coming back, there was an opportunity to help fill a necessary role of corporal. We had an open corporal position, and he has filled that role as an acting corporal for the last year. During that time, he also went through field training officer school and attained the designation of field training officer. He also attended several different types of leadership courses during that time, and as of very recently, fulfilling a full year's very positive evaluation and meeting all of the necessary steps that was needed to make the rank of corporal. On July 18th, we have promoted him to full corporal, and we are very, very proud of him. We'd like to have him come up and have all of you give him your congratulations.
Corporal Nelson, please step forward and accept our congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the job well done.
Congratulations, sir.
There we go. Thank you, Chief Johns and Corporal Nelson. Thank you so much.
We have a newspaper photo op here real quick.
Okay. Gotta do that. Hey, look, I got in the background.
Photobombed by
Did you
the
see
mayor.
me? Did you see me lean over?
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Chief.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Chief. Yeah. Okay, now, Mr. Relford, can you bring us up to date on the Rock the Wreck concert for the Recreation Center, please, sir?
I would love to. This is rolling out Rock the Wreck. So this is the first night we've talked about this. We put it in the budget, so we just kind of wanted to go over a few of the details and what we have planned for October 25th. So I'll start out with a little interactive video that one of our staff members put together. This is a layout of our plans for Rock the Wreck, where everything's going to be located. See, this is at the rec center, obviously. Rock the Wreck. So it's just going to be, the stage is going to be set up to the south of the rec center there. In that parking lot just to the south is going to be all the food trucks. We have roughly 10 food trucks. We'll set up some picnic tables there. You missed the beer tent. The beer tent's going to be located as that red tent right there on that grassy area.
We don't want to miss that.
Pretty neat, huh? Now, if you go over by the new inclusive playground, that's where all the kids' activities will be. See this, the blue tent, that's a depiction of our new gazebo we're going to be building here pretty soon. And then some of the kids' activities that we're planning on having. And then there to the south will be where all the parking will be. And the plan is right now, you see that big hot air balloon? If that fits in the budget, we're hoping to have a hot air balloon there as kind of our main attraction.
A ride or just a display?
Well, hopefully tethered rides. Yeah, so we'll as many people as possible can get a chance to go up in the hot air balloon.
All right.
So I'm going to go over a few of the details. Again, it's Rock the Wreck. If you could go to our logo there, Brent. We designed a logo for this. Again, it's October 25th. It's a Rock the Wreck Music and Food Truck Festival. We're going to have two bands planned right now. The opening act is Brandon Moore and Friends. It's a local Bolivar Springfield group. And then the headliner is going to be a band called Soul Root, which is a pretty well-known cover band kind of in central Missouri. if you look at their website, they have something going on every weekend. They're pretty popular. They do a bunch of different genres. I've seen them a couple times, and they're really good. So this is a logo. We designed that. So I think it looks pretty nice. So here's kind of what we have going on. Again, we're going to have a beer garden, food trucks. Hope to have a lot of kids' activities to include face painting, inflatables, lawn games, and budget permitting an ultimate bungee experience for the kids, and again the hot air balloon. So
October 25th.
October 25th. Yep. Parking. Again, there's some of the food trucks that have already committed, but hopefully we'll have more than that. The timeline: parking will open at 2 o'clock. We'll start the activities at 3. The opening band will be at 4 o'clock, and then the headliner will be from 7 to 10. So that's kind of the plan.
Promotion materials. How
all
do
gonna
we
be
how do we
coming out.
intend to
Yep.
let everybody know?
Yep. Jill's not here tonight, but obviously we're going to be starting sending out the information via social media.
Yeah.
We'll work with the other organizations in town, Chamber of Commerce, and get the word out.
Okay.
We're going to be seeking sponsorships. That's a big part of hopefully some of the things that we can do will be dependent upon that, how much we can generate. But you'll see in the packet here, this is kind of a tentative budget of what we're looking at. We did budget $10,000 this fiscal year. We are confident that we're going to get a grant through the Missouri Associations of Crafts. Is that the name of it?
Arts.
Arts and Crafts. They're the ones that did the painting out at the pool. So they said that if we put an application in, they're pretty confident that we can get some money to help support this city activity. So that's kind of where we are. Again, the big thing is some of the things that we have planned that is really dependent upon how much we can bring in sponsorships. And I wanted to brief the board first, get an idea of what we're going to do, and then you'll see in here it's an example of our a sponsorship letter that we'll be working to getting out here pretty soon.
Questions and comments from the board?
Just for verification,
Mr. Wilson,
thank you.
go ahead, please.
Free to the public.
Free to the public.
Awesome.
Does that mean that all of the various components are free, or just admission is free, and like the bounce houses or the
Free.
balloon, all of the goal is for
Free
all
means
of that
free.
to be? Well, you say
Yeah,
that.
the beer's going to cost you.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, do we have inclement weather plan at all? If
Yeah,
snow's down the line?
not really.
Okay.
I mean, the band deals with that every weekend, right?
Sure.
You just have to deal with it if it comes.
Okay.
There's really no inside venue or anything like that. And that's just,
Further
that's
questions?
the risk we take.
Oh, whoops, excuse me. Further questions? Mr. Wilson.
So I was kind of looking through this. Is there restrooms available?
Yeah, you'll see if you,
Sure.
we're going to have access to the rec center, plus we're going to have 3 individual porta potty that we're going to have staged around the area. Yep, and so we're going to put the bid out. We're going to do like an informal bid for the beer tent to some local companies that are in that business, and we're going to be working on that here in the near future to get somebody identified to do that.
Any concerns with the parking on the grass and the soccer? Because that's the soccer fields, right? That they'll, or no?
We
It's
moved
parking.
soccer out.
Yeah, soccer's out of Fulton.
Oh, okay, they're not using any of the fields now? Okay, I just.
This is all hands on deck for the city. Right? We're going to
Sure.
have obviously firefighters out there, law enforcement. We're going to have red crews will be out there. And so it's going to be a lot of activity.
How many people do you anticipate being there? And do you think 3 porta potties is enough?
It's our first one. I mean, we hope to have a lot of people, in the thousands, but we don't know because this is the first time we've ever tried an event like this. I wish I had a better answer for you. I mean, October 25th.
Where did you get the number for the 3 porta potties?
For the what?
For the 3 porta potties. You don't, it's just
Yeah. We've never done this before. I mean, so each one is going to have 3. So 3
each one.
each
trailer.
unit will have 3 porta potties. We're gonna
Okay, all right. So,
have 9 total,
okay.
and then access to the rec center.
All right. I was worried there.
And we're working around the rules with the beer tent. You know, it has to be a designated area. We're working with the state on that to make sure we do that right.
Questions and comments?
Do we still have access to the Pacer AI tracking software? I know we dropped it as a subscription. Can we still reach out to them as a event specific to gather some
Kyle,
information?
you think?
We might have some access through like SimCom.
Questions and comments? Mr. Wilson.
I'm excited. You know,
Yeah, we are too. Like I said, you know, first time we've ever tried this. We're hoping this is an annual event. We're trying to do things that attract adults, kids. It's a family-oriented thing.
Yeah.
And we're excited about it from a city perspective.
Great sizzle reel too.
Yeah. It's, again, Kevin Kelly. Kevin is he's a genius when it comes to this stuff. So you'll see a dog park that looks a lot like that here in the near future.
Questions and comments? Thank you, Mr. Relford.
You bet.
Do you have further administrator report?
Yes, sir, I
reports?
do.
Okay. So
All right, just a few quick things. A lot of activity at the airport the last couple weeks. We've been sealing some cracks. We had to rent a machine for that, so they've been out there for the last week or so. The PAPI lights that we've been talking about, I think since I actually arrived here, the precision approach path indicator, basically it's visual aid for the pilots as they come in. That's actually being worked on right now. That's a big project and nice improvement for the airport. That's ongoing. Albany Street.
they've been patching it too, patching the
Yes,
cracks
sir.
in it. Yeah.
Yep. Albany Street project. Yay, started. So finally coming to fruition. Kyle Lee, we talked about this, I think maybe last meeting, about 430th Road and working with the Special Road District. We've had initial conversations with them. I think they're open to some kind of cost share agreement in that venture, and they would like to hear from Great River Engineering, so we're going to arrange that so they can see more about that project, but that looks very positive. Bad news, the splash pad. You know, that's a big hit, especially during days like this when it's 100 degrees outside. We're having some serious mechanical issues with that, plumbing issues, and it's not working right now. So we're going to meet out there Wednesday morning to assess the situation and figure out what next steps are. But right now, it's not operational, unfortunately.
Oh my.
Yeah, we've had issues with it, but I think we got some stuff happening under the concrete that needs to be dealt with, some broken pipes and some other stuff. So,
Thomas,
Questions and comments?
I was
Go
wondering,
ahead.
will summer lunches be affected by if you're working with the concrete? I don't know if you're going to actually be tearing stuff up.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, those decisions have not been made yet. We're not going to do anything until we report back to the board, figure out what's going on, and brief you all.
So does that mean we're likely not looking at it reopening during this season?
I don't want to say that yet.
Okay.
I'm not prepared to say that. I say in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be down.
Okay.
Questions and comments?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? You know,
Mr. Ross, do I see here a question or comment on your mind?
Yeah, I was going to wait till he was done because I was going to ask a question about the Rock the Wreck. Do we need volunteers for that if somebody wanted to volunteer to help with that event? And if so, how would they go about reaching out?
You know, we haven't thought about that yet, but yeah, I think that's a good idea. You're talking about some youth, some young kids.
If they're an organization or just people in general wanted to help out with parking or whatever, just, you know, I'm assuming we're going to need lots of people there. So is that something that if there's an organization that's interested, they just reach out to City Hall?
Yeah, just
Okay.
reach out to us. Good idea.
Questions
then
and comments?
Just
Oops,
one last
sorry,
comment, sir.
Go ahead,
I think everybody knows, though, 211 South Missouri down here. I'd like to thank the Life Church. They had a couple hours of cleaning up that lot this past weekend, and it looks really good. I think they had like 5 or 6 dump truckloads of stuff they had removed. So it's looking a lot better, and I think at some point the board needs to make a decision on what they want to do with that piece of property. If you recall, that's the one that we purchased, I think, about a year and a half ago or so.
Okay.
Right across from MFA.
Questions and comments? Anything further, Mr. Elford?
That's it.
Thank you very much,
Yeah,
sir.
Thanks.
All right, as we know that it has come time for re-signing our IT, our information technology support provider. And, oh, I'm sorry.
We need to make a motion to approve.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Okay. I'm entertaining a motion to accept the administrator's report.
I'd make a motion to approve the report.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We do accept the administrator's report, and I very much apologize for stumbling over the agenda. As you know, that we've been, it is time to renew our contract with our IT service provider, and so our IT expert who has been working on this very diligently for a very long time, Chief Watkins, please come forward and present your findings again.
Good evening. So tonight we are revisiting bids for our IT vendor for the next 5 years. Just to bring us everybody up to speed, our last board meeting, the board requested follow-up questions. And so on Monday, July 14th, Alderman Raines, Alderman Moores, and myself and Paula sat down, reviewed the questions, and sent them out to the top 3 bids. They are by alphabetically, JMark, PCNet, and Pitt Technology Group. So the questionnaires were received back and sent to you this last Friday. So I think we do have copies if you do need them, if you haven't received them. Some questions we received clarity on. Some questions we still have minimal clarification, including additional billing costs, inclusions, or security features. Per your request, we have also invited reps from all 3 here tonight. So JMark, PCNet, so at this point, after reviewing the documentation, the staff still does recommend JMark. The reasons why for one is budget management. Looking at a fixed base project cost, we think that is better budgeting for the city. We are nervous that on projects, if it's hourly based, that could exceed budgets. For example, with our vast Windows Office move, they were projected 138 hours to use that project, and it went to 170. So having that locked in as per hourly would give us more clarification on budget. Obviously, next year we talked about going to servers, and we're nervous. We could know that project equipment cost, but not knowing for sure going into the labor cost of what that would end up would give me reservations to recommend just that pricing model. So it's nothing against anybody. The work needed to transfer to a new IT vendor would be considerable. Obviously, we don't have any IT in-house, and the rest of those that do it are doing it on our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th jobs. And so just the cost of that would be, and the time would be considerable. We have reviewed references of the vendors. One vendor, I'm just going to leave it, gave us some serious concerns based on feedback, and another vendor based on references that did not have any municipal service experience for IT providing. So again, due to these staff recommendations, to these issues, the staff recommends JMark. At this time, all 3 vendors are here, and I'll let however you guys want to run it. I'm here to answer questions.
Do you want to ask Chief Watkins, Chief, just a moment. Do you want to ask Chief Watkins some questions first, or would you like to hear from the representatives from the companies first?
I think
Mr. Wilson?
I think we can let the vendors talk, and then if we have questions, we could always come back to Chief Watkins.
Okay. Well, is everyone else in agreement on that? Okay. You want to step aside, Chief Watkins, and will the representative from PCNet would like for the representative from PCNet to step forward, please? Okay. If you could state your case to us and field some questions, we would appreciate it.
Sure. My name is Sean Latimer. I'm with PCNet, and I participated in the building of the RFP for the city of Bolivar. We have worked with the City of Republic, and we still work now and have worked for years with counties and other municipalities. So I think we have that core experience of working with the unique aspects of a city and county in the Missouri area. But before I just go on, is there any specific questions I can answer about PCNet?
Does someone have a specific question?
I'll start. And
Mr. Wilson, go ahead.
I'm going to probably ask all three vendors. Can you kind of hit on it? Can you kind of give us your background on like what other cities our size you service?
Yeah,
Maybe in what capacity?
In what capacity as well?
Yes. So we work with the City of Republic now in a what would be considered a co-managed relationship, and that's one where the city has some IT, but we augment that. But PCNet's worked with counties since we started actually, and we have an ongoing relationship with Howell County, Lafayette County, and we worked with Christian County for many years. I worked with them specifically for about 5 years. And we got them to a place where they actually transferred to internal IT at that time. They just got too big. But PCNet's worked with counties, and especially I have a government background myself, 25 years, so I know a lot of what this is like. So that's a lot of our background, along with other people on our team. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Further questions? Mr. Morris.
Yes, and you answered this in the questionnaire. I just want to call it out just because it's one piece I was kind of looking for. But on the special project, or I'll just call them projects in
Yes.
general. So if we have an ongoing, I guess, general IT contract with you, we're also honored then, I guess, to get a special rate for we want to upgrade a server, or
Yes.
we have some other special project going on. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So our contract model is all-inclusive. We tried to make it that way to basically eliminate the piecemealing of billing, like, oh, you went over hours or some other thing. So it's all-inclusive. Projects are not part of that, but projects, when we do a project, we work with the other party to help develop what that's going to look like and the cost of that too, to make sure that it's within the parameters. But there is obviously a discount with our clients with our projects too. Yeah, absolutely.
Questions from Mr. Morris?
Got one more.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I just want to make sure they're all clear across all three here. But and for the sake, this is for. So I work in IT also, and the reason you guys are here is probably my fault. I didn't do a good enough job explaining right, but you all are doing. This is for general IT support, so
Yes.
just general tickets of
Yep.
ongoing maintenance, keeping up with.
Patches, updates, alerting.
I need my password reset.
Yep.
I
My
need
printer doesn't work.
Yes,
all that. Yes.
Okay. So that is what generally is covered on your contract. And
Yes.
then I know we would also want the security suite.
Yes.
Can you describe your security suite? I guess just
Yep.
in a high level view. I guess
Sure,
of
sure.
From the AV to the. I assume you have an MFA. I know you do. You
Yep.
have an MFA tool. I guess just kind of go through
Yeah.
your whole catalog. real quick.
Yeah, sure. So our support is 24/7, and that includes on-site. There's no extra charge for that unless it's after hours. But that's also the type of thing that if that's something that you really want, like with some of the counties we work with, the Sheriff's Department, 911 services, that's all included. There's no extra cost for that. So that these types of things are things that we want to have a conversation about and figure out what works best for you. So as far as the normal everyday IT support, yes, that's all covered in that one cost. Our cybersecurity package is basically two. We have our basic package that includes MFA, which is not MFA oil, it's multi-factor authentication. And it also includes EDR, that's a fancy word for advanced antivirus. It's normally a tool, it's a tool that specifically works to protect against ransomware, and it works completely differently than AV, but that's the closest thing that we can, speak to. It includes security awareness training. Obviously, that's a big piece because you can make the thing as secure as you want. All it takes is one person clicking on that email. That also includes encrypting hard drives too. That's very important if a device goes offsite or anything like that outside of the office. Our other package includes a SIEM, which is a security information management tool. This tool has eyes on everything. So it's the watcher. It's what's watching what's going on coming through the firewall, or maybe Jonathan accesses files at 4 o'clock in the morning and downloads 2 gigs off the file server. That's unusual. It would flag stuff like that. And then also includes vulnerability management. So this is a service that scans all of your equipment and then sees what there's a problem with in terms of security. So without that type of tool, there's nothing doing that. So you might not know if this computer has Windows 10. That was brought up, and that would need to be replaced. That would get flagged on a vulnerability management scan. So we have those 2 tiers, and both of those are priced in our proposal.
Further questions or comments? Represent Alderman Price.
So if you get a ticket,
Mhm.
we send you a ticket, and it's a critical issue.
Yep.
How fast is your response time
We have
and resolution to it?
we have a minimum of a 1 hour, so we have 4 tiers on our priority system. Now, this is also something that we can adjust our service level agreement as needed too, because like I said, we work with sheriff's departments, 911s, other that are critical in nature. But typically, when you send a ticket in, due to our triage service model, you'll get a response back almost immediately that we got your ticket, and if it's a priority issue, we will shift resources to accommodate that, including on-site or whatever's needed. And that's an important distinction, because with our triage model, you're going to tell us what the problem is, and we're going to find the right resource immediately, instead of you calling in, getting someone to try to fix it, and then that problem just gets escalated up higher and higher, and now 2 days later you finally get the right resource.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Onboarding.
Yes.
What would that look like? Time frame, difficulty? How would you transition?
That's a good question, because as we heard, transitioning is a hard thing. It can be a painful thing sometimes, but we try to make that as smooth as possible. I'm sure everyone does. But we work with the existing provider to develop a relationship there and integrate seamlessly as possible. Our goal with any onboarding is that the people don't really even know what happened, other than our training on how to use us. But as far as the IT support, it would be seamless. And normally that happens all behind the scenes. So we work with the outgoing provider to install our tools. We would come on site and work with each organization to determine training needs or anything like that, because we can do on-site training, we can do video training, whatever. But that's an important piece for us, because that's when people see us face to face, and training people on how to actually use us is one of the important pieces on that onboarding phase, developing that good relationship.
Cost of that already in your bid?
Yes, there is no cost to that.
Do you already have a relationship with J-Mark to make
Yes.
this easier?
Yes, we do. We work with J-Mark quite a bit. They're a great group.
Mr. Ross.
All right, so in the Q&A, there's a question. If you bill hourly and we're continually using more hours, is there a way to adjust the contract? And it was, NA. Is there a way to adjust it so that way if you say, hey, we're figuring it's going to be 75 hours a week or a month, and we're coming in at 125 at the cost of, I think it's $150 an hour. Or,
right.
So is there...
Yes.
Can we then go back and adjust that and say, hey, we're using way more hours than you had initially bid, as opposed to just the device?
Yeah, great question. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw that too. So we don't figure in hours in our contract, as far as like, once you're on a contract with us, we're not constantly looking at the hours to say, hey, you're over or under, because we don't track that. But we do an annual contract review. And that's when we sit down once a year and we look at, how is the service going? What are your pain points? We bring the reports of, you're at 60 hours a week, or you're at 200 hours a week, and this is where we're at. So we want to do that every year and make it a point to have all the people that we need to have at that table, so we can actually do an in-depth review of that. But as far as ongoing, there's no hourly limit, so you could use us for 1,000 hours that month, and it's still the same price for you.
Further questions? If not, thank you so very much for taking your time and coming in and presenting your case.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now then, is there a representative here from Pitt Technologies? Okay. State your name and what you do.
So my name is Luke Lundgren. I'm here with Jason Morgan. Just a little bit about Pitt. Doug Pitt is our owner. We've been in business for about 30 years. We haven't been called Pitt Technology for all that 30 years, but we've acquired multiple companies and built a solution that really is able to be a one-stop shop for any municipality, business, whatever the case is for individuals throughout Missouri.
Does baby brother drop in once in a while to see you?
He doesn't, unfortunately.
All right.
So we handle everything when it comes to IT, audio, video, so conference rooms such as this, whether it's fiber infrastructure, low voltage cabling, infrastructure, cameras, access control. we really try to provide a one-stop solution. We do admittedly have a very different model than JMark. When it comes to us bidding your IT, it's a model that we personally feel is more advantageous to you as the client, because we've gotten significant feedback on that from other clients of ours. What we do is we look at your technology that you have at the municipality here, and we judge and say, hey, we feel that X amount of hours, and in your case it was 50 hours a month, is would be needed to provide the basic support for you throughout the month. Now, we have a retainer-based model versus just a flat fee like some providers. So that means basically if there is a month where you don't require as much support, which very frequently happens, can happen maybe on the other side too, where you might require some more. We have levers for that to make sure it balances out. But say you use 25 hours of that 50, that 25 hours then rolls over into the following month and never expires. So you can, many of our clients have banked up time, and then these infrastructure projects that you have, whether you want to add a camera system, add access control, add a conference room, you can then partially or completely cover that project with that bank time because you've already paid for it. Okay. Very different. I can appreciate what Chief Watkins was saying on, it's always can be apprehensive thinking about a budgeting stance, but we do have several clients in the same size as your group here, and we truly feel like that model is superior to other flat fee models. So,
questions and comments from Mr. Lundgren. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Same question as I asked the previous one. Can you kind of go over what cities our size and capacity?
Yeah. So we have several municipalities. Not everything is IT. We do have one IT client that's 110 users, I believe. So very similar to yours, I believe, is 115. So in that scenario, we can look at that client and say, hey, on a general support basis, what is it that they require? I was the only vendor here that did the walkthrough in the group of 3. So that's when I had talked to Chief Watkins about, hey, how many tickets do you have throughout a month? He said 30 to 40 when it comes to support. So that's where we based that 50 hours. We also looked at your equipment that you had on site, looked at your technology stack, your softwares and so forth that you're using, all of which we're very familiar with. There's nothing in that technology stack that we're scared of by any means. So that's where we came up with that time, okay. And then also basing it off of other clients as well.
Okay. Could you kind of give us some towns like same size as us that you guys work with?
So it was mentioned City of Republic was one as well. PCNet does some of their IT side of things. We do their low voltage cabling, audio, video, also access control as well. Christian County as well. We kind of overlap on some of these, but Christian County, we are, I believe he said that he was their previous IT provider. We are their current. We manage their internal, we work with also their internal IT staff. So that, like them, was similar to kind of a hand-in-hand partnership there. And along with City and Nixa, they were the 115 that I had mentioned as well. So do a lot IT infrastructure, and then also audio video. We have several conference rooms. City of Springfield, we have all of their low voltage contracts when it comes to just cable infrastructure. Do a lot when it comes to audio video, and then MSU would be another, but not a municipality.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question and comments.
We'll just roll it around, I guess.
Yeah.
So, same question again, and you answered it on here, but and one reason I want to call it out again is because I think there is a confusion between what general IT covers and then, hey, we want to do these extra things, which I fully understand, but I do love the commitment of we're joining a partnership, so you're honoring that by giving us a special rate. So I don't know if you can describe that, and then also I guess again go through kind of what you all bring to the table with your security suite.
Absolutely. Yep. So in agreement with you fully on that general support, that 50 hours a month is for general support. So whether that's working with your internal IT, whether that's supporting users throughout the facility here, that is all, we see that as general, and then obviously patching, general maintenance and so forth that's needed for individual equipment. All of that we see as support. When it comes to projects, we view, if you want to upgrade your servers, we view that as a project. If you want to add a conference room, add access control, camera systems, we view that as a project. So in that case, we provide a one-time fixed fee project for whatever scope that is. So you would get an estimate from us. We would not go over what that estimate was as in cost basis. So as far as Chief Watkins concerned, you still have the aspect of being able to budget. And I realize I'm fighting an uphill battle here because Chief Watkins is the guy. But we would obviously love to try to convince otherwise. But and then on top of it, if you have banked time on your support contract for whatever that project was, you can, like I mentioned, can apply that time towards that infrastructure project. As far as our software suite, I am technical enough to be dangerous. I may rely more on Jason Morgan here, but as far as our technical suite, we do Sophos MDR rather. We have Microsoft or Duo rather. Jason, can you speak intelligently on some of this stuff here? Come on up.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, we have Sophos MDR Complete, which is a 24/7 SOC that is, or a NOC that's just watching and mitigating anything that comes across. So if they see something right away, they'll shut down the service for that computer, that server, or anything like that. They are always watching your back for us. So that goes on servers, workstations. We do Duo for MFA. We can apply it to many applications, a lot of different appliances as well. Synchro is our patch management software. So we push out critical Microsoft patches in the back end for everybody. We don't do drivers because we know that drivers can kind of mess up somebody's day in a bad sense. So we just try to push out those critical and important things. Depending on what firewall system you guys have, we make sure that all that's patched. We actually, internally, we do 3 monthly patching, or I should say, service tickets that we automatically do for all of our MTS clients. One is a firewall review. So we make sure that all the firmware is up to date. There's no errors, there's no warnings. Logs are being generated, yada, yada, yada. Patching, we make sure all the patching is done for everybody, for all their computers or servers. And then the last one is for backup. So we are big advocates of backing up anything and everything we possibly can, both locally and offsite. So we have different varieties of backups that we can do for you. We can use Veeam, we can use Datto, whatever is going to be most efficient for you guys. But we work with that for the DR program for the city to make sure that everything is taken care of on that. So we just want to make sure that we're taken care of and just doing all this stuff in the back end and just making sure that things are just flowing as smooth as possible for the security part.
Do any like know before training?
We do offer know before, so there's a lot of other little quirks that we offer. It's not really in our main security package. We use Blue Mira for things. We use know before. We use Threat Locker. So we have a lot of other options that we can throw on the table for things like that. They're all kind of just piecemeal items that if somebody wants, we can kind of look and go down that avenue and look at that for you.
They're a 365 shop, so do you usually have them pick their, email defense of choice, or is it a...
I try to push them towards Duo for MFA for 365. Lately, it seems like there's been a compromise for Microsoft 365. So there's been a lot of hacking of MFA devices. So I do not recommend 365 MFA right now. So I try to push people towards Duo for any and everything.
Sure?
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Ross.
Okay, I apologize. You're going to go from like an IT genius to the guy who like unplugs and plugs it back
No,
in
you're
to the
good.
level of so.
It's because none of us had any idea what John was talking about.
Exactly.
So if you have answered these questions, I apologize so on your Q&A, the software options include. There's one like provides device level protection against viruses. That's $9 a user. So that's in addition to the hourly rate if we choose to do something like that. So and how many users do we have? Roughly?
It's actually per device.
Okay.
So it's $9 for endpoint.
I was that when it comes to our support, we clearly differentiate. Thank you.
Okay.
Between those support hours and then the software that we're providing. So you would get 2 bills from us on a monthly basis. So on the bottom of that questionnaire, we have broken down all those softwares which you're looking at.
Yeah.
You can perhaps Chief Watkins and his team decides to provide those, buying those softwares directly, or whatever softwares that he chooses that he feels, hopefully with our input, but whatever he feels that if he wants to do that direct or not, then we'll provide the support still, right?
Yeah.
But there would be 2 bills. We would look at, hey, if you want us to provide these softwares, then we would take that per device, say in the instance of Sophos MDR, $9 times what I believe 115 users was in the RFP. $9 times 115. So it tries to really make sure that we're transparent. We're not putting a package together that's obscure, and you know what? I really don't know what this flat fee package includes. It, really, really hard to sometimes get to the bottom of that of some IT providers, and that's not coming at anybody in this room. It's just simply the case when it comes to IT providers.
Further questions?
I have some questions.
Yes. Go ahead, please.
First of all, with those software costs that you just mentioned, are those just because I don't know what the pricing is in the software world, are those monthly, annual? What are those?
They're typically monthly.
Okay, so $9 per user per month.
Correct. Yep.
Then the other question I have, and I don't mean this to be a disrespectful question. We are supposed to be stewarding the city's resources.
Sure.
So we're looking at who can give us the best services for the most reasonable price. Which means based on your fee structure, we are somewhat reliant on your estimate of what our needs will be as far as the number of the hours per month.
Sure.
So I can envision a circumstance where a company would love to be a very competitive bidder and is therefore incentivized to maybe be overly optimistic about how quickly they could resolve those tickets, and then have that competitive bid come back, end up racking up a bunch of hours to actually deal with those costs. And the city has, tried, or whatever the client is, has tried to make that decision as responsibly as they can, but they didn't have the information about how long it was they could actually do. So I guess my question is, if it takes more than 50 hours for you to resolve our ticket needs, are we the ones who bear the entire risk of that?
Sure.
Under this proposal, does that make sense?
It does. It does. So I appreciate what you're saying. I can say that we did not artificially make the bid low to come in and say we want to win this. We're going to lowball.
I can imagine a world where people would do it, and I gotta ask.
Absolutely. Yep. I can appreciate that completely. So again, just real quick, what we based it off of was looking at 30 to 40 tickets a month, and then also looking at your technology stack on what it is that you guys have throughout, not only what was mentioned in the RFP, also what we saw on the site survey end of April, but in addition, looking at other clients with similar setups. So we weren't basing that off of nothing. When it comes to our retainer model, there are, like I mentioned, we lean towards, hey, there are months you can bank up hours, which is a great benefit. There are times, though, admittedly, that you perhaps go over that 50 hours. Maybe you use 75 hours. We find that it tends to balance out over time to where we don't charge you for that overage of 25 hours that month. We let you pull from that following month, for instance, to now perhaps you required 25 hours extra of support. Well, the 3 previous and then the 2 next, you were only at 40 hours, to where we find that it just balances out over time, to where if we don't hit that mark absolutely perfectly when it comes to that retainer model, we can find a happy medium balance there over time, because we don't overcharge or give you overage charges just because you go over a month or 2. I will say, if we consistently find that, man, oh man, you guys are a special snowflake compared to our other customers that that have every single month require 95 hours, we would have to look at submitting a revision to that contract to say, hey, you're consistently hitting, these are the reasons why. I think the percentage chance of that being the reality is pretty slim in comparison to what I described first.
Even though your estimate of hours is roughly 1/3 of the hours that we've been.
Yeah,
half. Okay,
it's half.
half.
So yes, I did hear that, or actually I read it in the follow-up questionnaire. This is nothing against JMark. I will say, personally, for us in our experience, 100 hours for that size when it comes to support only, and I'm not talking project work.
Right.
Perhaps they have some project work bundled into that, or perhaps they have some sort of AI service that every single time it does something, it clocks time, right? I don't know their specific scenario, but what I can say is 100 hours for this setup of your municipality seems unusually high in comparison.
How quickly would you move on reassessing the contract? Like, how many months would you normally give it to say, oh, hey, an average of 50 is not what we're seeing here.
Right.
Like, you would have to have no needs for the next 3 years to get an average of 50.
I'll take this one. So,
Okay.
Being a team lead, I kind of deal with more of that aspect.
Sure.
Usually I say, give it 3 months and let's take a look and see how things are flowing. And then from there, we'll go another 3 months. And if we need to stretch it out, go 6 months, go a year, and kind of go in that aspect. Now, on the same note as he was saying, if you're kind of going over, we may have to adjust it. At the same time, if you're coming under, we can adjust it too. So if you're coming in at 30, 35 hours a month, why are we having you bank up all these hours?
Sure.
That's just kind of nonsense. So we can adjust it and say, hey, let's go ahead and do an amendment. Let's just lower this down and kind of go from there. Save you guys more money down the road. But, the 50 hours, it's hard. It's hard for us to determine, without opening up somebody's books to see what kind of tickets you guys had and stuff like that to determine. But most of our clients, after a year, we're lowering their MTSs. It just happens. Because we're more on a proactive stance than a reactive stance, because we're trying to make sure that everything's taken care of to get you lower and lower.
Is that it, Ms. Raines? Or Ms. Neal?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're answering.
Mr. Morris?
And mine's not a question necessarily for this group, but maybe for Chief Watkins and us, but just a level set. It's not 100 hours, I don't think. Once I read into it, that was kind of bloated with a project. So it was closer to 80 hours was I think our real number over the year. But then, of course, you did say 40 just a moment ago also.
40 tickets.
40 tickets.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Yes,
makes sense
yes,
then. Okay.
We used the average, and it did have the over year average. It has some blurring and trying to figure out what tickets are with office project, email project, and what works. So that did include those 3 higher months, but then if you exclude those, the rest of the year we averaged 80.
80. Okay.
Further questions? Ms. Raines.
Speak to your experience with law enforcement and emergency services.
Yeah, so once again, we deal with Christian County and Nixon PD and a lot of other PDs and law enforcement. We don't really do any fire departments that I can think of off the top of my head, because Nixon's fire department's separate. They've got their own budget. We've handled all the mules, Regis stuff for all of them. We've done all the site-to-sites. We've done the CGIS compliance for equipment and everything else. So we know what we need to do for all these law enforcement to make sure that everything is compliant, everything's good. We have the contacts at Mules and Regis and everything else to solidify all that stuff and help that out. So as a matter of fact, we just did a huge project for the city of Nixa and all their PDs and their cars and their VPNs and everything on that, and that was nice. So, but yeah, we have all the partnerships that we need to make all that happen.
Further questions? Further questions? Yeah, Ms. Raines.
I can't remember who else asked about the transition, but what would the transition look like?
Oh yeah. So very similar to everybody else's. You know, I think that we've built a good relationship with JMark and PCNet in the past on other transitions, whether coming and going. So once again, we try to make it as smooth as possible. We try to keep as many of you guys kind of out of the light as possible and try to do as much in the back end. There may be times that we do have to get involved because we may actually have to touch a device here or there, but we try to do it as much remotely as possible and behind the scenes. We deal directly with the previous vendor, so we just make sure that all that's transitioned, all that is as smooth as possible. I don't think there's ever been any bad blood that's transmitted, between a handoff. As long as all the parties are in agreement and they work well, it's going to work out great. The main thing is after a contract is done, who knows, you may want to go back to that previous provider too. So they want to make sure that transition is as smooth as possible too. So, but yeah, we like to do everything as much as possible behind the back end to kind of keep it out of your guys' face and not, trouble you with it too much.
I will just add that for that first month, we have dedicated 50 hours of onboarding. So to make sure that in addition to that 50 hours of general support, and that's to factor in making sure that onboarding is smooth.
Further questions? Further questions? Thank you so much, gentlemen. Mr. Lundgren and Mr. Morgan, thank you so much for taking your time and being with us. Do we have a representative from JMark?
Hi all, Mr. Mayor, Alderman, Tom Douglas from JMark. It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas, for coming.
We've had the opportunity to work with you guys for many years, and it's been an absolute privilege. We have an incredible team here, and we've enjoyed doing it, and look forward to focusing on great service for many more years. One of the things that I would point out that you covered a little bit on the 80 hours, but I think some of the things that we haven't really hit on are the depths of the cybersecurity programs and the capabilities of the proactive work that we do as an organization. So it's one thing to say we do proactive work, but it's another thing to actually do it. And in your organization, over the last 12 months, we do average 38 client-facing tickets, but we also average a number of internal service tickets that we open on behalf of the city. That number is 326 tickets that we open proactively to make sure that the issues are addressed in a proactive way. And we run 29,000 scripts against the environment to ensure that it's secure, that nothing's changed in the environment, and that roughly correlates to about 1,200 man-hours of work if it all had to be done manually. So the automation that we bring to the table is quite substantial in order to make sure that we continue to keep things running on par and on track. In addition to that piece of it that complements the security infrastructure that is going on in the environment, we bring 8 products to the table as it relates to the security, and it's built into everything that we do. So we have the content filter that we put on every workstation from Cisco. We have the EDR that we put in place. We also do MDR for Office 365. We do the security awareness training as a part of what we do. We also do backups of the Office 365 environment and archiving of the Office 365 environment. Several years ago, Microsoft came out with a recommendation that you don't rely on Microsoft's backups for the backup solutions, that you need to have a third party do that. So we implemented that technology as a part of making sure that we take care of that. We implemented the SIM technology several years ago in your environment. Obviously, that is, as they indicated, kind of the watchdog of all things happening on the network. I would add to that a little bit that the tools that we use as it relates to that are all integrated. So the MDR integrates into the SIM tool that integrates into the Security Operations Center that is monitoring things 24/7. So what that means for you is that when something funny happens on the firewall and something funny happens on the workstation, and isolated, they may not be a big deal, but when you put them together, they are a really big deal. And so that tool correlates that information and calls that out. The Security Operations Center that we work with gets us out of bed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we start to deal with those things on your behalf. Our agreements are all inclusive, so it doesn't matter if it's during business hours or after business hours. It is all covered as a part of the services that we're providing for you. The projects are different, as we've called out, in a couple of different areas, but I think that's really important. A couple of the other tools that we have that we'll be bringing to the table as a part of this proposal that I think is really important is we're implementing a new capability so that if someone calls in from your organization to have a password changed, we have a special authentication process that we go through now that involves that person's mobile device. So they actually have to read a code to ensure that we don't have fraud going on inside the organization or from an outside party as well. And then the last one that we'll be implementing is a hardening process of Office 365. So we know that moving to the cloud for email management is kind of a scary thing, and it's up there and it's in Microsoft's world and it can be out of control. The hard part about that is the technologists required in order to facilitate that and to manage it really well. There's not that many of them in our region, unfortunately. So we've purchased a piece of software that manages those policies and procedures across all of the instances of Office 365. So even if one of my team makes a mistake, if somebody on the city's behalf makes a mistake in that configuration, or there is a new best practice that comes out from Microsoft, we essentially click a button and we get that implemented across the board, across all of our clients, obviously, to include the city. And then lastly is MFA that we're implementing across just as a part of the standard procedures in today's world. And so I could keep going and geek out on you guys, but that's probably more than you asked for. In terms of your question,
Thank you.
we work with a couple of other organizations similar in nature. City of Cave Springs out of Arkansas is probably the closest correlation to this city of Bolivar. Jasper County is another one that we work with, a lot of the police force in that environment. Those are the only direct correlations that we would have to this environment. Thank you. Yep.
Questions, comments? Yes, Ms. Moore.
In your bid, you had an onboarding fee for us, which I thought was kind of odd since we already have you.
Yeah, that would just be the redeployment of the security solution. So we're deploying a lot of new security capabilities in the environment that's pretty laborious. So we have to take off the old EDR solution, deploy the new one, deploy the new backup solution. So that is just the deployment of that, not day-to-day operations of IT support.
Okay. And then the other question I had was, several months ago, you guys presented about our backup options and mentioned 2 physical backups plus the cloud.
That's correct.
Is that still, that seems excessive to me. Is that still?
Well, yeah, it's a Datto solution in that environment, and so a lot of organizations use that. We're not really special as it relates to that, but it is a best practice. So making a local backup and then making a cloud backup, and the reason for that is that when you have a backup connected to your local network, if you're hit with ransomware, the whole environment can be compromised, and so you need to have a copy in the cloud in order to recover from that as well.
From my understanding, it was 2 local backups.
We may be just making another repository for faster recovery, but not as a part of the whole disaster recovery plan. Anything else?
Mr. Morris.
I almost skipped my one question I didn't ask on yours. So I was curious, and yours was kind of the call out on here a little bit, but I mean, is there any chance of, I mean, just the commitment of staying with you guys? I didn't know on the project work that we typically do. I know that's where things can sometimes get, or we see the higher rates. Is there any part that you guys work with as far as maybe negotiating that down to being a...
Always try to be as fair as we can. So our process as it relates to that, because almost all the projects that we do for your organization, we do many, many times over and over. And so we're retrospecting every one of those and figuring out how we can become more efficient. So if there's ever a concern, we're always happy to talk about it. We discount it absolutely as much as we can in order to be efficient, because we generally know almost down to the hour how many hours it's going to take. Obviously things pop up as they did in the last migration. We went over in those hours, but we didn't charge it. So it's pretty typical, but we can show you even evidence of how we retrospect every kind of project that we do to come up with a pricing to ensure that it's as fair as possible.
Gotcha. And I guess being a contracted customer, does that get you access to that preferred pricing, or does that?
Well, we only do projects for contracts that we do, so we're as aggressive on that pricing as we can to support the team that does those projects.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's an aggressive price.
Questions? Comments?
Yeah, I had one quick question.
Yes,
So,
sir.
Mr. Ballard.
we've been talking a lot about hours, but your bid and pay scale is based off of users, correct?
Yes, sir.
So if you do 300 hours, we're still paying the same rate because
Yes,
it's limited to the number of terminals and people.
Everything
So
is fixed for the next 5 years.
Except when it comes to special projects.
Correct.
Questions?
Yeah.
Comments? Thank you so much, Mr. Douglas.
Thank you very much.
Chief Watkins, step forward, please.
Carpet now.
Okay.
By the way, these are the IT experts, and him, not me. So I just want to clarify that.
Mr. Ross.
So, we got the bids, and then we talk about special projects. If we go, whoever we go with, do we have to use them for special projects, or can we bid out special projects?
So I think in all three of the replies, they said, quote me if I'm wrong, we can bid out hardware to whoever. So whether we get gov deals, or not gov deals, but government direct, or them, or whoever, we can buy the hardware anywhere. I think for all of them, they did state, and correct me if I don't want to speak for all of you, but as far as setting up security, things like that, they would prefer that part in-house, just so they know we're not getting, we buy the server hardware and I set it up, and they have to come in after me and reconfigure it, or whoever reconfigure it. They would like to be on that front end, so we're not redundancy of the work and the projects.
And that probably
and the
makes
time
sense, so
spent.
that you don't just have somebody else come. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Questions, comments? Mr. Morris, I've put you on the spot before. Do you have any, because we rely on you and your perspective so strongly in this area, do you feel if you would if you would comment, we would appreciate it. If you do not wish to, that is your prerogative.
Well, I guess us geeks don't get a raise up too much, so I get to take my spotlight when I get it. But and I do want to say, I was calling out a lot of this stuff just to make sure to let everyone know, security product-wise, it is pretty apples to apples. I will throw a J Mark's way on this one, though, for the sake of it is a little more involved. It does come with a complete full package that includes, honestly, more things than some of them had in there. On top of that, some of the pieces, just like governance, is huge. So he kind of brushed over that briefly, talking about 365, but you get these packages, and there are 1,000 different check boxes, 1,000 things you can change, and you can get your organization, you can get the city in trouble really quickly, and by opening it up. So having pieces like governance tools just to make sure you're doing the best practice, you're doing what is standard work, does mean a lot. So security tools are about the same. You've heard the message echoed also as far as onboarding is not fun when you are switching providers. It is a giant pain, and it can be very costly. So I'm not saying that if you've been with the vendor for 15 years, you should always stay with them. I'm just saying that you need to have a compelling reason to leave because it is a very big deal. And I guess that is my case. Is I don't think there's a compelling reason to move away from J-Mark, and they would be my recommendation also.
I got a quick question, Mayor.
Mr. Wilson.
When is our contract due? When do we need to have this contract solidified?
Technically, it runs through October 31st. So by November 1st, but
Sure.
Takes time. So.
Counselor, is it appropriate for me now to entertain a motion to accept Chief Watkins' recommendation to
We would make a motion, so don't.
No. I'm wondering if it's appropriate for me to entertain that motion.
I would like to say that I'm not ready to make a decision.
Yeah, I was to say that on the agenda, it just is listed as a Q&A. So I was wondering if we actually had planned on making a decision tonight, or if it was Q&A, go home and cogitate, and then put it on a future agenda item.
That was my question.
Oh, okay.
Let us digest this.
Mr. Mayor, just from a purely legal perspective, there's no, either way this board wants to handle it.
It
can be done tonight, or if you need more time, they can have more time.
And Mr. Wilson?
In the past, when we had stuff like this, we talked about it, we came back the next meeting, that way we can make the most informed decision instead of hearing everything at one time, not investigating or hearing what our constituents want. That is our job, to hear what the constituents want. So I'm hoping we do not make a motion tonight.
All right. That seems to be the consensus of the board. We will speak amongst ourselves at some point, but you know that we've got to. We can't put this off forever. No, it's not a motion. I was asking if it was appropriate to make a motion, to entertain a motion.
Thank you.
Okay.
All of you. For
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
And your patience in explaining things with fairly small words.
Well, we've gone through something pretty clear and simple. Now let's go something more complicated, like the dog park update. Mr. Lee. It's Kyle Lee. Mr. Lee.
Anything, I'll answer. Okay, so we wanted to just put an update before the board tonight and for the community to see that we have begun work on this. Except for Brent's jumping out as we had some images. So you've got some in your packet. He might make it back in. You want to somebody holler at him real quick if you would. It'll be more helpful to see the images. And Kevin worked hard at them, so I want you to be able to see it. In any case, you're familiar with the site of the dog park just west of South Boston and near the intersection or between the intersections of San Martin and Aldrich Road on South Boston, just off of that, behind an existing structure that is there. The Kiefer family has contemplated and has voiced to us and to a committee of citizens the intent to donate a section of land for the use of a dog park, and so we've begun to do some internal designs. This has been a lengthy process. We've met with a committee that was self-formed. I know Todd has worked with them closely in the early days, and then we have all had a number of meetings together to discuss a dog park. So it's designed to have a location for both small and large dog parks. The large dog park section will incorporate a large drainage area as well. There you see some initial images there. The proposed name of the dog park would be the Vineyard Memorial Dog Park. It's there in the Vineyard shopping area, Vineyard subdivision complex there. you'll see really just quickly in this design, we have more detailed images, but just for the sake of seeing this, that there will be new parking associated with the location. There will be a small dog area that will be separate from the large dog area. It will have ADA accessibility into both dog parks, and then obviously off-leash areas for the dogs. So at this point, the city has committed, this year in our budget, we committed $20,000 to the project. We are hoping to move as quickly as possible, and the committee of citizens is working on additional fundraising. And so our intent is to, as quickly as we're able, move forward on the small dog park area, and to begin construction of that, and the parking area just as soon as the deed of the property over to the city is ready. That work is a little bit, and that timing is a little bit dependent on dry weather, which it looks like we're about to receive some. That may not be welcome for everyone, but for these types of projects, it is welcome. And so there's a little bit of shifting of a drainage way that the developer, Mr. Kiefer, is taking care of before the donation is made. And so we welcome that. And then, but in that time frame, we are already beginning to work with some folks I'll be meeting this week to identify some trees that need removal, and we're trying to start the process so that we stay in a really tight a timeline as we can, hoping to get that small dog section done even this year. That would be the goal. We'll see, again, weather dependent is a major factor there, and then seeing the large dog section done in 26 as well. So,
Questions and comments? I think the dog park is pretty well explained and self-explanatory. Well, not self-explanatory. I think Mr. Lee needs to keep us up to date. We met with a group of supporters of the dog park downstairs last week, and I think there's going to be really, it's going to generate a lot of interest and enthusiasm and support. And not only that, I suspect that you'll find people willing to donate all kinds of things to improve it, to gates and fences, and we've talked about that. But we'll move ahead.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. All right, I will entertain a motion for the adoption of Bill number 2025-43.
First reading. Second.
Counselor.
This is Bill number 2025-43, ordinance number 4065, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Community Outreach Ministries of Bolivar, Missouri for city expenditures to assist with costs associated with the full-time housing advocacy coordinator for the benefit of the city in Polk County.
Questions and comments?
Second reading.
Second.
No questions and no comments?
I think we got this one covered.
I think we got this. Let's see, okay. We need a roll call, don't we?
Second reading.
Oh, Counselor.
Yes, sir. This is Bill number 2025-43, ordinance number 4065, an ordinance authorizing an agreement with Community Outreach Ministries of Bolivar, Missouri for city expenditures to assist with costs associated with the full-time housing advocacy coordinator for the benefit of the city in Polk County.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Price.
Aye.
Neal.
Abstain.
Ballard.
Aye.
Morse.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
With 7 ayes and 1 abstention, the bill number 2025-43 is passed. Moving on to new business. Mr. Lee, are you prepared to tell us of the latest on our solar array bid, please?
I am. So we are excited about this project. It's one we have spoken about since at least November timeframe of last year. We submitted a grant application and were fortunate enough to be awarded $500,000 for to put towards a solar array system. We presented that ultimately to the board before that time for a resolution in pursuit of that grant. Those numbers that we put forward in the grant are similar to what we, or are the numbers that we put out in a bid proposal here recently. That bid was open last week, and we were, I just want to say thanks to everyone that submitted bids. We had a total of 15 bidders that qualified and had submissions in on the timeline. That's significant. That's a significant, amount for us, and a significant response both locally and even nationally. Had a lot of response, and so we're thankful to all of those bidders. Obviously, in situations like this, there ultimately is one contractor selected, and so you'll see that bid proposal sheet. We have tried to consolidate those bids into an understandable format, including the vendor name on the left, the location that they operate out of, and then the total cost that was submitted per the bid specs. That's what it's organized under from ascending order from the lowest to the highest bid. And then the system size is noted, and then the price per kilowatt is noted there. And so that's an important element, just because not every system is exactly the same in what's bid and specified. And then there's the estimated annual production there in your bid sheet or bid summary sheet there. We had really, if you want to look at the top 3 to 4 there, they are the total costs, their first 4 that you see listed. But ultimately, we zeroed in on pursuit of further investigation of just 3. And after checking through we checked through all the bid packets to make sure they qualified, but after further investigation on these particular ones, the staff recommendation is for Sun Solar. Their total bid estimate at this time is $743,225, and that's with a 479.52 kilowatt system. The important thing to note about that total cost at $743,225 is that the projected cost to the city would be $170,257. I actually, in initial conversations, expect that has the potential to come down slightly, but that number at $170, just over $170,000, it contemplates and includes $500,000 from the Department of Energy through a grant that we've been awarded, and then additionally, as we will need to move quickly to complete the project, but if we do, it does appear we'll still be eligible for a 30% rebate on the city's portion. So when you take all that math together, what you have left from the city's portion would be $170,000, just a little over that estimated at this time. Of course, we'll go into specific contract negotiations, and that will be detailed, but just thinking of that $170,000 number as the rough estimate at this point, and a near rough estimate, it's a good number to work from. We have projection of about $80,000 annual in savings off of our current, when you just look at our 24, 25 electric bills and the production that this is intended to produce. And so we're looking at and listen, I'm not going to knock solar. I think it has its appropriate place, and this is an appropriate place for solar. To have about 2 years on the ROI there is amazing. Really, for any sort of investment like this, you have warranties and lifespans that are in the 25 to 30 year time frame for this. That doesn't mean that you're getting the same exact production all the way out at that time frame, but you're seeing still significant production at that time frame, and it's just kind of a no-brainer. I mean, I hate to put it any simpler than that or make it seem like $170,000 is not a big deal. It's still a big cost, but it's quickly returned in the savings, and that's without contemplating any rate increases or things like that. Obviously, our investment increases in value as that cost there is offset. Again, we're recommending Sun Solar. The reason for that, they actually, if you look at the cost price per kilowatt, They are slightly higher than one other bidder, Sun Country Energy Solutions. When we looked at both of those side by side, Sun Solar there are about 3 reasons that stood out to me to ultimately make that recommendation. One is project size already completed. With Sun Country Energy, those that they listed in reference, our project would be almost double the size of projects that they had listed in reference. That gives me, a bit of pause as compared to our project will be about half the size of some listed in reference from Sun Solar. They're also in discussions and items listed within the bid. There's some potential savings in the Sun Country bid of about $12,000 as it relates to boring that probably will not be necessary, or street cutting there that probably will not be necessary, as we've engaged with Liberty through the process. That's about a $12,000 number that was represented. The Sun Solar has about a $20,000 number that's represented that has potential savings. I'm not holding them to that right this second. We're going to go into specific contract negotiations, and I want to see those savings actualized in that conversation. But ultimately, that brought them in at a cheaper total investment for us. And then the last thing is their proximity is in Springfield, and they've been highly engaged in the process. I think they're here tonight, and they've been engaged in the process. So that shows me an engagement that we're going to have to work with them for a long time. There's going to be things that happen, and panels that need repaired or whatever happens to be the case, and it's good to have a contractor that's engaged in the process. So
I got a question.
Mr. Ross.
So in the packet, it's not budgeted. I know we put in for the grant and we got it. Then there was some uncertainty. Do we have an avenue where we can get that from? And the 170,000.
Yeah, we could use some capital dollars. We have several options.
Okay.
We could use some interest off some of our debt coming to maturity. So.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think it'd be crazy not to. I mean, we're going to be saving $80,000 a year after a year or two. So, I mean, definitely, yeah. I think that's if we got avenues for the money, I think it's a no-brainer.
Any questions and comments, Mr. Wilson?
I think Kyle hit on it too. Being engaged is important for us, or for me. You're talking about how local they are if something happens. I mean, Springfield's right down the road. But yeah, I agree. I'll make the motion that we go with Sun Solar.
Second that.
So we are going to go ahead and make that decision this evening?
We do, yes.
Okay.
I can speak just briefly to the timeline if you want me to before or after.
Please, go ahead.
So we will, I do need a motion tonight, ideally because of the necessary timelines. We'll begin a 45-day window that hopefully we'll be able to begin tomorrow by our Department of Energy contacts. That's some basically holding time where paperwork is required. We'll begin in that time to do contract negotiation with the contractor that's selected, and then we'll want to begin install with them just as soon as possible. A big reason for that is so that we get going and show a good faith effort, which I think we will no matter what, make that from everything we've understood so far. But on that 30% rebate, there is an ultimate ticker out there that could expire that. I think we will be well within our ability to meet that, but that's part of the reason for wanting to take action is no needed delay.
And that is Sun Solar.
Yes, that's
Okay,
what we're recommending. If that's
I will entertain a motion. Second, okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Wilson?
Aye.
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Morris?
Aye.
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 Ross?
Aye.
Sagasser?
With a count of 8 ayes and 0 noes, we have adopted or accepted the recommendation of Mr. Lee to contract Sun Solar for the installation of the solar panels out at the park.
Rec Center, yeah.
Or the rec center, excuse me. All right, where are we now?
Don't go anywhere.
Okay, now is that under the purview of Mr. Schrader for the cemetery?
Mr. Lee's can.
I'm going to speak to it just real quickly. We were involved in helping, and I know Todd and Red are here as well to speak to any specifics if you have questions about the locations. But as far as the bid process and the bidding tabulation that you have there, the recommendation from the staff is for Trusted Roofing. Their total cost for all the projects listed on the service locations, as well as some changeover to metal roof in a couple locations. Their total cost was $75,369.98, and so this was they had two bids, one for a higher class of shingle. My recommendation was for the class 3, which is ultimately what's on this recommendation. We had ultimately those two bids that you notice. There's 3 listed, but 2 of them came from Trusted Roofing. We solicited local contractors for those bids, as well as contractors we've used in the past, but these were the 2 that were received. Obviously, price-wise, they're considerably the lower bidder, and are providing an overall good response to everything that was listed. So I don't know if you have any specific questions about locations. I'm sure Todd and Rick can get
Tell
into
me
that.
again, sir, the amount that you're
$75,369.98. That's the Trusted Roofing bid there.
Go ahead, please.
You note on the sheet here that this is budgeted. How much was budgeted for this project?
Yeah, there's insurance proceeds. So we did what we assessed it. So Todd and I took a look at that, at what the actual cash value was given on, and the recoverable depreciation that was held back. There's a couple that exceed what was held back in recoverable depreciation, but those are only the ones that were the metal roof, where we've changed. We actually wouldn't be able to recover it because we're changing our roof, covering, cladding there. And so all of them actually, as a total, fall under, I don't remember that exact number now. I'm not sure if Todd does. I'll be putting him on the spot like I am, but it all fell under the total actual cash value we've already received for these structures to cover the roof replacement.
So the budgeted amount is sufficient for the recommended bid.
Correct. The insurance proceeds that came in exceed what this bid is
Okay,
for.
all right. So because it is a budgeted item, I take it we really do not need an approval?
Well, I think.
All right. Now, is that, Counselor, does that require a roll call?
It doesn't require a roll call. Motion will be, just a normal motion. And
all right, I will entertain. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Kyle.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe I've lost the plot. Trusted Roofing came in with 2 bids. One says class 3, one says class 4. Tell me the difference on that.
So class 3 shingle is probably a more, they're both architectural asphalt shingles. So what you would normally see.
30-year.
Yeah, they're, I think, they're beyond, no, class 3 and class 4 deals more with like some wind loads and some impact resistance.
Gotcha.
It's just not likely to be something that we would need. I mean, I can go in more detail. I think the major reason is if you in a home, a homeowner individually might actualize some insurance savings by moving to class 4. When we looked at it, it did not look like that was likely for us, and so the added cost was not significant. Was not, we weren't going to get some savings out of it.
And I would like to make a comment that I love that the cemetery gazebo was on that list.
Yes.
I don't believe it has ever had in its life.
Yeah, it's got some deck repair on there as well. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Tell me the name of the company you're recommending, please.
It's called Trusted Roofing out of Lee Summit, Missouri.
Trusted Roofing. Okay, I'm entertaining a bid or entertaining a motion to accept the recommendation from Mr. Lee for Trusted Roofing.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the bid of Trusted Roofing for $75,369.98 for all the roofing lists.
We have a second, and again, that a voice vote for that.
That'll be just fine, Mr. Mayor.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. The ayes have it. We have accepted the bid for $75,369 for Trusted Roofing. as recommended by Mr. Lee, City Hall Conference Room HVAC bid. Is that yours, Mr. Lee? Is everything else in?
I think we've got one more right before it. Unless I
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The shade at the playground, please, sir.
Yes, sir. So this is another opportunity that we pursued a grant for, and we did receive $15,600 from AARP to fund a shade structure as well as some bench area, or table area in that shade structure. Some of this will be performed in-house, and we knew that even when we submitted the grant application, but the shade structure itself we look to have done through the bid process, and the low bid for this was from Children's Specialties Inc. in Nixa, Missouri, and so that is the recommendation from the staff for Children's Specialties. The city staff will do the concrete pad work, and then we will separately purchase the benching, or the keep saying benching, but the picnic table, so that will be located underneath the shade structure. And you'll see the kind of image there. This is going just adjacent to the inclusive playground, much needed shade in the area, much used playground, and so we'll hopefully, I know we talked to Thomas, and the goal would be to have this completed by the time for Rock the Wreck as well, so that'll be usable at that time as well.
I take it that everyone has seen a drawing of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
Well, I guess two things. First off, Todd and Kyle, been here multiple times. It's been packed. Had a lot of great compliments about this. My question that I keep getting asked over and over is, what about restrooms? Are we really, like, is that coming soon? Hopefully, a lot of the people have been saying this is great, but my kid has to go right now, and we leave, and it's like, okay, we're already gone.
If you remember, maybe a year or two ago, I shared my 1 to 5 year plan. So what I like to do is come back and show you an updated plan, and in that plan, we do have a vision to have restrooms out there adjacent to the playground with some other suggestions, and I'll bring that back to you to show you that whole scheme of things. But yes, we do have in our vision to have some restrooms there, hopefully in next year, if not next year, a couple years for sure.
And I might be silly for asking this, but is there something that we can do till then to facilitate something in that area?
Well,
we can, the only
hold it till October 25th.
Couple of suggestions. I mean, of course, some of them come up to the rec center.
Sure.
The only other option, I guess, we could offer porta potties. I don't know if we'd want to do that, but we could maybe look at that, see what that cost would be.
Sure.
But that would be the only other option until we get a permanent facility there.
Sure. The couple comments I've heard, because I've said, hey, there's that rec center right there. Well, don't you have to have a membership to go in the building? It's like, I don't think so,
No.
But I bet if you go in with a kid screaming and yelling, I bet they'll let you.
Yeah, we let them
use the
access
restroom.
if they need to.
Yeah.
the bathroom.
So, but anyways, but again, a great facility, great, engagement by our constituents by, every time it's packed. So.
Yeah, I'll note the location of the shade structure we've worked together to make sure that it's placed in a location that accommodates the future placement of that as well. So, whenever that
questions, comments?
That is a
Ms. Price?
widespread of bids. That's a big jump in money. Is there a reason? Is it?
Oh, I don't. To be honest, I wasn't super surprised by it. We see most of our bids. I mean, if you look back at the solar bid, I mean, we have everything from $740,000 to $1.3 million. We do even the roofs.
Our roofing bid was $188 to $75. So yeah.
I have to say this is a simple shade, but it's a simple shade.
It is.
It went from 16 to 35.
Yeah, even some of them, actually, at least 2 of them had the same exact structure they were purchasing, but their install cost was considerably different. I can't really speculate on why each contractor,
Kansas
you
City
know.
versus Nixa, that's the
Yep,
reason.
it could be.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Just following up on the sort of question you were asking.
Sure.
Do we have any idea of a timeline for installing fencing around this playground? I understand that can be a concern for some of the children that this playground is designed to serve, that if there are risk of flight or elopement. Thank you. I was like, if we're planning to do anything like that at some point and when.
I mean, I can speak to at least the element that relates to, I think we would want to wait until the solar project is installed, because we will need to do some fencing between the solar project and this, just because of access and things like that. And then we'd probably want to integrate that all at the same time if we want to. But I think there's also been discussion about, I think there's probably some discussion about whether fencing is necessary around the whole, upon the total, or ultimately leave that to Todd to speak to. Or.
Yeah. Initially, when we brought this to you guys, we did talk about the fence. Okay. Since that conversation, we've actually had some other conversations. We are going to look at fencing, possibly, or no fencing. If we don't have fencing, we have some other suggestions on how we can keep vehicles from coming up to the playground. It's not so much, containing the kids, it's protecting the kids from vehicles that might come down the road. We've got some ideas there. So I'm not saying we're not going to do a fence. Right now, we don't know yet. We're still having those conversations. We'll come back to you guys, share those, and then you guys can help us make that decision. We still could add a fence. If we do add a fence, it could be in conjunction with maybe adding some fencing around the solar panels as well. So that is still just being in conversation right now.
Is that something that the vendor who provided the equipment for the playground recommends or doesn't recommend, since presumably they're dealing with this issue every time they install a playground?
I don't know if we even had that conversation with them about the fencing side of it. So we just need to see internally what our vision is, how, if we want to contain the kids, with the shade structure, because we're going to have concrete that goes from the shade structure up to the playground. We're going to have to see how that will, everything will tie together with the restrooms. Fencing is very possible. We just need to continue to look at that and have more conversations.
Okay.
I like the idea.
Questions, comments? I take it, though, Counselor, that we do need to approve this?
Yeah.
And a roll call is necessary?
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation for children's specialties for the shaded structure for 16,300. So.
And it doesn't have to be a roll call vote, Mr. Mayor.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We've accepted Mr. Lee's recommendation for the for children's specialties to install the shade. Now then, how about the City Hall conference room HVAC bid?
Okay, we put out a bid that was open on July 17th for a replacement for the internal part of our water cooled loop system that serves the conference room it's just here off of the main lobby area, and it serves another office and space up there. Unfortunately, nothing is cheap in our system. So, I mean, all of these numbers and these contractors, I will say it's a unique part of the system. It's why we ultimately went to bid. We knew it would be probably higher than $10,000, which is our mark to go out to bid. We did have two bidders that came they're near close to the $10,000 mark, but ultimately Multi-Craft Contractors was the low bidder, and so is recommended. We had bid proposal notice, and they all ultimately were complying with the system that we asked for, and their bid was for $10,582 to replace that system and get that back up and running, which has been down for a good bit of time at this point.
Questions and comments?
Question.
Mr. Ross.
Kind of the same thing, you know, on this. It's not budgeted. Do we have a spot that we're gonna
Capital improvement.
capital improvements? Okay.
All right.
Mayor?
Question. Go ahead, please.
This may not be helpful to this conversation. Is it typical for a conference room to have its own HVAC?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that it was originally a conference room, and it's not the only room that is on it. But our total system here has multiple heads that are staged, and I'd have to look into more detail to remind myself. It feeds a couple rooms up there, and then some space downstairs. So I wouldn't say it's typical. It's just the way in which this system is designed. We have an exterior water tower that is a chiller essentially, and then we have multiple heads within the building that operate different portions of the building. So this one's actually one of the smaller ones of.
I wonder if stuff like this is why it takes 80 hours to solve our 40 tickets in a month. But I mean, I know it's different systems, but like just this.
This is not an uncomplicated system.
Yeah.
To answer that, it's why
so
we.
Would there be any benefit to explore? I don't know. Once you have committed to this is how many HVAC systems we have. If there's any way to ever unring that bell and try to wind it back and sort of consolidate to a more simplified system, if that is beneficial at all, or is it like, nope, this is how it is. We're just going to have the conference room HVAC, and that's just.
Well, and it's not only the conference room, and it's important for the total system because everything's balanced. The whole system is balanced.
Okay.
If one's not working, others are working harder. There's other elements there to the HVAC system, but I will say, the bell has been rung for a water tower air-cooled chiller system in this building. We spent about $90,000 upgrading and improving that system, which has been, good and necessary. But these other operating heads, internal operating heads, it won't be the last one we replace, unfortunately. I mean, that is part of the
questions, comments. Then shall we? I will entertain a motion to for us to adopt Mr. Lee's recommendation for the multi-craft contractors bid at $10,582.
So moved.
Okay.
Aye.
In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We've accepted Mr. Lee's bid for the HVAC in the conference room from multi-craft contractors. Now then, Dunnigan Park removal of old block restrooms.
Chief, can you pull up the photos, please? See, photos.
Beg your pardon, sir?
I'm asking Chief to pull up the photos, please. You'll see photos in your packet of the old restroom north of the Pavilion 1. It's no longer in use, in disrepair. It's the recommendation of staff to demolish that building. Before we do that, though, we wanted to get feedback from the board and hear what you had to say. It's not going to happen until the RTP grant has been finished. That's the grant that's going to put the trail. We can't do anything to the park until that's completed. And we weren't going to get to this anytime soon just because we have other things.
That thing's been a creepy place for years.
Yeah, this is, it's been there a long time. Before we do anything, I wanted to get board approval.
I have gotten some pushback on demolishing that just because of the history of the park.
There's
and
historical significance to the building. I mean, we've got the old caretakers building just right across the park from that we've been like doing stuff to. So I didn't know if this one had a similar background.
I'm not necessarily advocating that we renovate it and make it functional, but I don't think everybody's in favor of just tearing it down either.
Thomas,
what are you going to use it for?
I don't think everything has to have a use. In the park setting.
Go ahead, please.
Does it pose a danger? Are we concerned about it falling, or?
Is the roof?
One of the reasons we brought this to you is a few weeks ago, if you look at the roof, we had a tree that fell on it, and it damaged the roof. The doors are locked. Actually, they're bolted shut. The building is not used at all. It hasn't been used since the new bathrooms just to the south of it was built. 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. There's graffiti on the building too. If you look in the one picture on the right, you can kind of see the graffiti there to the right of the door, just below that first window. We can, of course, we can keep it. It's going to probably need some attention. I mean, if we're going to keep it, we probably need to at least keep it up, even though we're not utilizing the building. So we would need to repair the roof. We would need to remove the graffiti. I don't know if you want to give some attention to the doors, to the windows. But currently, the building is not being used for anything, and we don't have anything in the future to use it, to utilize it, unless we can think of something. But we're open to whatever you guys decide, and if we need to keep it and fix it up, we can do that as well.
Do you know when it was built?
Ross, go ahead.
The only thing that I can tell you, just guesstimating, is the stonework is the same as that pavilion that sits right there next to it, and I think those pavilions were put up in the 50s.
My kindergarten class used it.
Yeah. So that'd be just an estimation.
I'm
Mr. Wilson. Okay, Mr. Ross, go ahead.
I was I'm kind of in the same boat as Alderman Ballard. I mean, it's one of those. It's kind of a history part of the park. It does go with the pavilion. I mean, I would rather, put a sign up or something with its maybe historic, what's wrong for promenade or whatever, and keep it as opposed to tear it down. So
Perhaps someone could sponsor it and have a name plaque on it, and sponsor the repairs.
So is it, are we developing a consensus then that to...
Peacock habitat?
I think Alderman Neal has some great suggestions.
I asked AI what you might use a repurposed park restroom for. I don't know that these would all work, but
Do
just
we
some
wanna hear this?
ideas. So if there's anything that needs to be stored that would be easier for park staff to access, I don't know if there's any need for that there. An information center, if you had the kind of park where you wanted to provide information stuff, pamphlets, details about trails, local attractions, anything like that. A snack or concession stand, which you could open as needed if there was an event at the park and you wanted to have a place to operate that out of. And then another suggestion that was that AI put forward was a bike repair station, which we've heard a lot about bikes. I don't know if that space would be good for that, but there were a lot of ideas, none of which we would necessarily have to commit to, but that could be a way to justify continuing the existence of that.
Mr. Moores.
I love historical buildings, and I like the thought of always trying to maintain them and keep them. I guess my question, as I'm not a Bolivar native, has this always been a bathroom?
Yes.
Yes. It was built as a bathroom to
I do know the answer to that, and is yes.
It's a historical bathroom.
It was creepy when I was in kindergarten, and it's creepy now.
Just one, but I like the idea though. If there is somebody in the community that it means this much to them to restore it or to put a new shine on it, I could see it. But
I take it we are developing a consensus, Mr. Relford.
just to remind the board, if we have any restoration projects, that's going to be devoted to the log cabin.
Sure. Yes. Log cabin.
Actually, it'll be restored all the way, right?
I sense a consensus that we are going to let that building stand as is.
Well, maybe if we need to fix the roof or something.
Is there something that you guys wanted to put there, or was it just to free up space?
Really, it was. I think it enhanced that area with the new restroom and the pavilion. I think it would kind of make it not look as cluttered. These are my opinions.
Sure.
Okay.
I just wanted to hear you guys' part of it.
But we have no plan for that area for anything else, any additional. And part of what kind of triggered the decision or the conversation was the damage just the past few weeks from the tree. So we're going to have to either invest some pennies in it, or we need to the other option is, of course, to remove it.
Sure. Thank you.
Are we going to ask?
One question.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Price. Mrs. Price.
when we talk to the roofing guys,
I was gonna say that.
can you get
Yes.
a price on fixing this roof?
Maybe
Just get a price
Yeah.
for it.
Difference between class 3 and class 4. Maybe that's all it would take. Is
I will tell you, if you've been to see the building and you're gonna save something on the building, the roof is probably going to be what you're going
Okay.
to want to save. It has a very unique and cool roof, but
So
it would be
right.
costly probably to remediate that and
I
to
just
save
thought
it. So
talk to
I'm
them
not
and
trying
see
to say
what
you
they would
should. I'm
charge to do it. I didn't say hire them
yeah,
to do it.
we can ask them. I'm sure it would probably be significant just because you're probably talking hand removal. They're basically like a metal tile with pretty cool metal cap things.
Okay.
But again, I'm not saying it should be kept or not. I'm just saying if you're speculating keeping it, you probably should keep the roof too.
Speculating, we probably need to
Yeah.
know what it's going to cost to fix it. So that's just
We can get,
the only thing my
we can
thought
get
was.
that from them, yeah, while they're here.
Are we going to ask Mr. Lee to see if what the price would be to
Just
keep
ask
it?
the question.
Okay. So we're tabling this and moving on.
Yes.
Airport Pilot's Lounge Modular Unit. Mr. Lee.
Okay, our FBO management, SOAR, with our Bolivar Airport has, for a number of years, mentioned a need, as well as a number of pilots that utilize the Bolivar Airport have mentioned the need for an after-hours location for pilots to access, either for flight planning or to just simply use the restroom and things like that, or as extreme as there are times where a pilot is stuck overnight somewhere and just may need a place to crash to sleep. And so this was proposed in some long-term master plan. There is some initial planning discussion about extending the Bolivar Airport's terminal in a way that would allow SOAR to operate as our FBO and have a section that is closed off from the general public and all, and leave that general public area open as many airports do in a consistent manner. But that's a future project and a ways down the road. Right now, a pilot that comes in after hours would have to contact a SOAR representative just to get into the building as it is now. And so they proposed looking at the purchase of a modular unit. We looked at both potential leasing options. When you get into even like a 5-year lease with those, the cost to purchase was almost the same. And so we looked then at the cost to purchase. And this is through Sourcewell pricing, so it's not specifically a bid in that sense, but it's through the competitive bidding process through Sourcewell pricing. And United Rentals is the most common supplier of these in our area, and that is the price that was provided was $74,996. I believe we have the schematic also in the packet. Essentially just shows, and you're looking at an overhead schematic there that shows lighting, so don't be distracted necessarily by the red rectangles and all in there. There could be a little bit that might seem confusing, but essentially you have on the two outside ends you have an open room or office type space, and then you have one a little bit larger meeting type space right in the middle with access to a bathroom that includes a shower there in the unit. It comes with HVAC system that functions for this. We will have to prepare the site with a gravel pad and all a number of things there, as well as bringing some water and sewer connection and an electrical connection to the site. So ultimately, SOAR in the worked with us in the 2025 budget for the airport for this project. There was $160,000 budgeted for just the structure, and I believe it was another $20,000 designated for the site prep. We're gonna, if we purchase this at roughly 75,000, we would still be well under the 160,000 for the total site prep and everything. We probably have around $10,000 or so in site prep with bringing. We have a water and sewer connection in proximity. It's not extremely close, but we'll be able to bring that and do that work in-house by and large. So that's the recommendation, so that the pilots will have this usage that they've requested.
Questions and comments?
Where is it going to be exactly at the airport in relation to?
Yeah, the proposed location, and we've got a little bit of like details on that to work out, especially with the water and sewer connection, electrical. But the proposed location would be just west of the current terminal. There's the drive lane and then a grassy area before you would get over to where the Cox or where the air ambulance helicopter is housed, or that terminal,
Yeah.
that area there. So yeah.
Questions and comments?
Security wise, is it going to be, how are you going to limit just somebody driving up and walking right in?
Yeah, it's a good point, and it's something that a lot of airports deal with. But by and large, this will be a space that's open to people. It's going to go. Obviously, our airport is far removed from the city proper in that sense, and other airports have to kind of deal with this. SOAR will manage it, and so if ultimately they recommend additional access control, then we'll do that. There are some other methods that we've talked about. Some use like stuff that pilots might in an association have an access code or things like that, but it does starts to get a little complicated. It may just be that it is open access at the beginning and then addressed if there's security issues. Yeah.
Questions, comments?
I think if we're trying to get more air traffic, which I've heard of a lot more is coming to Bolivar, I think this would be beneficial for them. I mean, get more traffic in, more people coming to Bolivar, spending time in Bolivar. So I'll make the motion that we approve it.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
We have accepted Mr. Lee's recommendation for United Rentals, was it? For $74,796 for a modular unit at the airport. And is the president of the board alone saddled with the responsibility for reading the calendar of events?
No, not really. But I guess I can.
Okay. If someone else could surely take this duty if you would rather.
I'll survive. August 12th work session, August 25th regular session. Tomorrow night, July 22nd, Public Service Commission public hearing regarding Liberty Utilities electric case at SPU. August 1st, 2025 is movie night at the pool, followed by National Night Out on August 5th at the Recreation Center. September 6th is Country Days. It's also the first annual pickleball tournament at Cribs Youth Park. And October 25th, Rock the Rec concert at the Recreation Center.
Thank you. Mr. President, I guess I'm now to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I move that we take a 5-minute break and then go into executive session pursuant to RSMO 610.021, subparagraph 1, legal actions, cause of action, or litigation involving a public governmental body and any confidential or privileged communications between a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorney. RSMO 610.021, subparagraph 2, leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate by a public governmental body where public knowledge of the transaction might adversely affect the legal consideration therefore. RSMO 610.021, subparagraph 3, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employee is discussed or recorded. And RSMO 610.021, subparagraph 13, individually identifiable personnel records, performance ratings, or records pertaining to employees or applicants for employment.
And a second.
Second.
In favor?
Roll call.
Roll call. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Moores.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Raines. Sagasser.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
By a vote of 8 ayes, we are in executive session.